What's up, guys? Welcome to the line change, and we're coming to you with another Canucks trade target video. Now, in this particular video, we're going to be talking about the return or potential return, I should say, of one Bo Horvat. Now, I know we've talked about this idea of bringing Bo back previously on this channel. Way back, but now talking about it now kind of makes you think, especially with what's going on with the New York Islanders right now. Obviously, everyone knows that Lou Lamoriello is no longer the general manager of the New York Islanders, and the Islanders are currently searching for their next GM. So that said GM, now they haven't named one yet, said GM may want to just start a rebuild. And could that mean veteran players could be moved out? So we're going to talk about Bo Horvat. We're going to go over an article from our friends at Canucks Army. But before we do that, I'm going to thank my sponsor, W Energy. Thank you to my sponsor, my primary sponsor, W Energy. Are you looking for an energy drink that is jitter-free, crash-free, no sugars, no artificial colors or dyes, and no calories? Then W Energy is just what the doctor ordered. W Energy has over 15 unique and custom different flavors to choose from, including Galaxy Grenade, which is a blend of watermelon, guava, and lime explosion, as well as their Beach and Peach, which is a blend of mango, white peach cooler. Looking to give it a try? Get the starter sampler pack for $24. You get a shaker and 3 different flavors to try. Use code the line change and save 10% on said purchase or on your next purchase, whichever it may be. Right now they have a buy 2 get 1 free sale going on for this entire month, so get it while you can. Use the code B2G1 when you have 3 tubs or more in your cart. Check out their website at www.w.gg. Once again, that is www.w.gg. W Energy. Be better, your taste buds' favorite energy drink. All right, so let's dive right into this article. It's written by Stefan Roget. As I mentioned, it's from our friends at Canucks Army. And it starts off as the New York Islanders are in a bit of a managerial quagmire right now. And we're not talking quahog, hopefully I pronounced that right, neighbors. Here's the situation. At the conclusion of the 24-25 season, Islanders ownership finally moved on from 82-year-old general manager Lou Lamoriello by informing him that they would not be renewing his contract. Or did they? The latest scuttlebutt is that ownership still wants Lamoriello to stick around in an advisory role, and as a result of that, they are reportedly having a tough time finding anyone willing to become their new GM. It's not hard to see why. Who really wants to be in charge of a hockey team that still very much appears to be influenced by one of the most draconian managers to ever do it? The point of bringing this up is not to crap on the New York Islanders, but to highlight how uncertain their future is. From a front office perspective, they're currently rudderless. They've also been a little directionless by the odd disparity of their roster. On the one hand, the Islanders have a collection of aging but still effective veterans like Anders Lee, who's 34 years old, Ryan Pulock, who is 30, Adam Pelech, who is 30, and Ilya Sorokin, who is 29. And yes, the guy this article is about, they've also got a younger core featuring names like Noah Dobson, who's 25, Maxim Tisplakov, who is 26, and Alexander Romanov, who is 25, center Matthew Barzal, 28 in a couple weeks, who we already wrote about as a trade target earlier this offseason. fits somewhat awkwardly in between those groups. But then there's the true Islanders youth movement. Top prospects like Callum Ritchie and Cole Iserman are arriving soon, and their impact will no doubt be surpassed by whomever the Islanders select with the first overall selection, which they recently won in the draft lottery at the 2025 NHL entry draft. Depending on who they're finally able to hire as GM, the Islanders could go in a few directions from here. One of the most likely scenarios seems to be a retool around their two younger cohorts of players, which could result in the selling off of the older veterans for future-based returns. And under that scenario, one can't help but wonder about a reunion between the Vancouver Canucks and former captain Bo Horvat. Let's look at the player. Horvat, like most of that older Islanders core, just turned 30 in April, but he continues to be a top-level NHL goal scorer and two-way center all rolled into one package. In 22-23, the year of his trade to Long Island, Horvat put up a career-high 38 goals and 70 points in 79 games between the Canucks and Islanders. The next season, he posted 33 goals and 68 points in 81 games, all for the Islanders. That actually makes his 24-25 season of 28 goals and 57 points in 81 games the first time in 6 years that Horvat hasn't operated at a 30-goal or greater pace, and he just barely missed it amidst a tumultuous Islanders campaign. This makes Horvat one of the most consistent scorers in the NHL, period. That's certainly something that the Canucks could use on their side again, but let's talk about the practicalities of a Horvat reacquisition before we get too excited about the possibility. Let's look at the cost. Return-wise, we have to imagine that if the Islanders are looking to trade Horvat, it's because they're refocusing on their younger core. That probably means they're looking for primarily picks and prospects coming back. While that's not ideal for the Canucks, perhaps there is something they can put together. We might draw inspiration from the JT Miller trade here. Miller was a significantly more productive center, but he saw his trade value decrease by an off-ice situation and a contract that carried him into his late 30s. There are no rumors of any ill will between Horvat and any Islanders, but his contract does pay him an average of $8.5 million until the age of 36. That can't help but to bring his value down a little, at least from a league-wide perspective. For the Canucks, however, that same contract might not be a huge stumbling block. Not if they're primarily interested in putting together the best team possible over the next 2 seasons, specifically either to convince Quinn Hughes to extend or to simply make the most of the time they have left with him. From that short-term perspective, Horvat still has immense value. We have to imagine the asking price starts with the 15th overall, which is to be expected. It's not terribly far off from the value the Canucks got back from the Islanders in the first Horvat trade, which was a then unprotected first-round pick that wound up being 17th overall in 2023, along with a prospect in Aatu Räty and a cap dump in Anthony Beauvillier. Could the offer be as simple as a 15th overall and a B prospect from the Canucks cupboard? That depends. We could see multiple teams in on Horvat services with the cap going up like it is, and that could raise the price beyond the precedent, but not, we think, by too terribly much. A price tag of a first-round pick and some additional reasonable sweeteners should be workable for the Canucks for a center of this caliber. If that's all it takes, a Horvat reacquisition should very much be under consideration. There may be some intangible awkwardness to deal with here, but that's not certain either. It was clear at the time of that first trade that the Canucks were going to deal one of Horvat or Miller, and they chose to deal Horvat. Being dumped by the team you captain might have resulted in some sourness from Horvat, but that one post-game comment aside, we haven't seen much hint of it. There were some rumors of tension between Horvat and Miller in the dressing room, but if that was the case, it's not really a factor anymore. By all counts, Horvat got on well with Elias Pettersson and Quinn Hughes, and Hughes has spoken at length about how Horvat's leadership informed his own approach to the captaincy. Horvat does possess a full no trade clause, so he'd have to be willing to come back to Vancouver, but we don't necessarily see that being an obstacle. If they can turn it around, the Canucks are closer to competing than the Islanders. Horvat laid down some serious roots here that are probably mostly still in place. One, the whole, it's perhaps not as awkward as one might think, and it wouldn't be the first time the Canucks reacquired a captain that they traded to Long Island, and that worked out just fine, didn't it? Hmm? 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 The fit. Let's take a look at the fit. In this case, the fit isn't even hypothetical. We know Horvat works here. He's a power play specialist, and his presence in the bumper slot has been missed ever since his departure. He's a strong 2C that can take pressure off Pettersson at both ends of the ice while also fostering a more positive working relationship. Horvat is a goal-scoring center, which is a rare enough commodity as is, but might be especially valuable for the Canucks if they lose Brock Besser, their top sniper. Having Horvat around to score goals ensures that the pressure isn't entirely on the legs of Jake DeBrusk and Jonathan Lekkerimäki. In terms of the contract, we'll note that the Canucks were recently entirely comfortable having Miller signed to a very similar deal to an even older age. Obviously, things happened that made that untenable, but those factors don't really apply to Horvat. And $8.5 million is going to make up an ever decreasing percentage of the cap ceiling anyway. It's already a step below true 1C money. Horvat would make the Canucks a much stronger team over the next 2 seasons. And after that, it really all comes down to Hughes anyway. Extend Hughes, and the team remains in competitive mode and probably doesn't mind Horvat continuing to be around at that price, even if he starts slowing down. Move on from Hughes, or be moved on from, and the team enters some form of rebuild or retool anyway, at which point Horvat could slide into that aging mentor role. What seemed like a pipe dream at first might actually have some sand to it. Take away the history, and Horvat would stand out as a somewhat obvious trade target for the Canucks this offseason. And if the history doesn't really matter as much as we think it does, then maybe Horvat is just an obvious trade target for the Canucks this offseason. Price tag pending, of course. So there you go. Yet another Canucks trade target video. This one focused on former captain Bo Horvat. I have spoken on being open to bringing Bo back. I know a lot of people have said no, like they would not want Bo Horvat to come back. You know, it's time to move on. The Canucks should not look at bringing somebody back. They should be looking forward, which is fair. That is a fair thing to say. But at the same time, it wouldn't hurt to have Bo Horvat back. You know, I at the end of the day, you know, I do wish they hadn't have traded Bo to begin with. Now, by no means am I saying do I wish they would have picked Bo over Miller, because I don't think that. I think they did make a right choice on keeping Miller, but I would have preferred to have kept Bo as well, because everyone keeps ranting and raving about what we had down the middle, where we had Pettersson, Miller, and Bo all down the middle, and that was lights out. What they had, that was as good of a, you know, middle of the lineup that you could ever have. No, obviously with excuse me, sorry. Obviously with Miller, you know, having been traded, we wouldn't obviously have that again, but we would at least have 2/3 of that. Now, yes, I know a lot of people are down on PD right now, but perhaps bringing back Bo could get PD going. Could it also affect Quinn Hughes and his decision to stay due to that familiarity with Bo? Now, obviously, saying all this, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, if the Canucks do go this route and would like to target Bo Horvat, Bo would have to facilitate the trade. He would have to say yes because he has that full no trade clause. But at the end of the day, as this article mentioned, can't help but wonder, could this help the Canucks be better? Could it solve their 2C problem? Obviously, we've talked about guys like Marco Rossi, who's a lot younger than Bo. We've talked about recently Anthony Cirelli. We've talked about Sam Bennett. There's so many names that we've thrown out, but the real question is, which of these names, if at all, could the Canucks actually be serious about either inquiring about or targeting? Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys think about a potential reunion between the Vancouver Canucks and Bo Horvat. I know we touched on it a while back, but back then, things seemed a bit more bleaker when it came to that. But looking at it now, could it be the time to do it? But once again, let me know in the comment section down below. And as always, if you like this video, go ahead and hit that like button. If you want to stay up to date on all your Vancouver Canucks and your Abbotsford Canucks during their playoff run, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Also, turn on notifications. That way you don't miss out on a single video. You can also find us on social media. You can find us on our Facebook page. Just search The Line Change. You can find us on Instagram at The Line Change. Find us on Twitter /X at Line Change Van. You can also find us on TikTok at the.line.change.po. Feel free to give us a follow on all of our social media platforms so you can, as well as interact with us as well. If you prefer a audio version of this podcast, you can find us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. On Spotify, feel free to also give us a follow on there and support this podcast, as well as rate and review us if you wish to do so. It is, of course, greatly appreciated if you choose to do so. But that's going to do it for me. As always, go Canucks go, and I'll see you guys in the next video.